All right. Okay. Hi, Rad. Thanks for hopping on. I know it was a little last minute, so I appreciate you guys that are able to make it live. And then if you're watching the recording, thank you for doing that as well. Daniel is busy, so he was like, how's tomorrow night? I was like, golden, we're good. So really quick, I just want to, if you guys haven't been to Summit, I think most of you on here have been to Summit. And they always, my very favorite part of Summit is at the final celebration. They show the 4 finalists from the Beachbody Challenge, and they win $100,000. And their coach is up there, and there's not a dry eye in the house, and we get to hear all the stories, and it's amazing. And so I was super excited when I saw that we had the opportunity to have a finalist for this year pop on, and voting is happening now, so you're going to want to vote. And you'll probably want to vote even more after he gets to share, but we're really fortunate and excited to be able to hear his story live. So on that note, take it away, Daniel. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Whitney. Thank you for your time, ladies. My name is Daniel. I am a finalist this year in the Beachbody Challenge, and I'm currently 48 years old. I just turned 48, and for the better part of, for most of my adult life, over 2 decades, I was morbidly obese. I started my fitness journey when I weighed over 350 pounds. And I wasn't always big, right? I mean, in high school, I was in shape. I was in the Army, straight out of high school. I was in very good shape, and really started gaining weight in my early 20s with my wife, and I were expecting the birth of our first daughter. And it was stress-related eating, and I became, after I, being in the Army and not, kind of separating from the Army after my stint, and not being as active as I was in high school and in the Army, but eating even more so, and just started gaining weight, into my 20s, and got into the 200 club, because I was two something, and just kept creeping up, and before I knew it, the clothes, regular size clothes didn't fit anymore. So I would have to go buy bigger clothes. And at some point in my later 20s, early 30s, I just stopped going to like my physicals, my annual physicals, because I didn't want to know how much I weighed. Like I didn't weigh myself because I knew I was fat, and then I knew I was obese. I didn't want to really acknowledge it. But I knew I was getting bigger because I had to keep buying like bigger clothes. And when I did go to my physicals every 5 or 6 years, I'd see like how much weight I gained. And I'd never told my wife. She's like, "Did they weigh you?" I'm like, "No, they didn't weigh me." But I knew it, right? And I still just didn't do anything about it. I was more just kind of neutral about it. Just like it didn't matter to me for some reason, and just kind of gave up. And I tried diets throughout that whole time period. I was on the Atkins. I did like starving, and I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember Fen-Phen. Have you ever heard of Fen-Phen? It was a prescription drug that suppressed your appetite. It worked. I lost like 50 or 60 pounds. And like a year later, the FDA pulled it. It was giving people heart problems. People were dying from it. And I was actually upset that I couldn't get it. Like I was willing to take the risk to do it. But then I gained the weight back. Like whatever, the 50 pounds I lost, I gained it right back and then some. And before I knew it, like I was over 350 pounds. And, what really struck me, or what really started me on my journey, my why, I finally like started. So during that whole time, like my wife, she ranged from lovingly trying to nudge me to lose weight to being a flat out bitch about it. And because she was just like at her wit's end, like she had it, and there would be times where she would try, then she'd give up. And then she'd try again, maybe a year later, a different tactic or something. And it just, until I decided like I was going to do it, it wasn't going to happen, and that's with everybody. Until you, like you being you being me, until we decide like it's time to take control of our fitness, it's just not going to happen. Nobody can force you or nudge you, or they can encourage you, but they can't make you, right? So what really finally got to me to do it was my youngest. We have 2 daughters. So my oldest had graduated high school in 2013. She's away at college. My youngest was graduated high school. My oldest graduated in 2011. My youngest graduated in 2013. And leading up to that year, right? So January, February, up to where she was graduating, I realized like my baby's graduating high school, and I'm thinking like, I want to be around when they are young women into their 20s, watch them mature and experience life as an adult and get married maybe, and maybe have kids. And, if I didn't want to rob them of that because of me not wanting to take control of my health and being selfish about it, like just didn't want to be around for them. Because if I kept it up, right, like I didn't have, the only health problem I had, and I was so blessed that this is the only thing that I had to deal with, really was I had sleep apnea, and I had to use a CPAP device because I was so obese. But I didn't have like diabetes. I didn't have, a heart attack, anything else. Maybe some joint issues, or not really serious joint issues, but like just being so heavy and just trying to even walking was something, right? But I never had any serious like health issues. But had I not changed, getting deeper into my 40s, into my 50s, I for sure would have had diabetes by now and maybe a heart attack or something, right? So that was my why. So I told my wife, hey, look, because I was big in the girls' sports. I was booster president for 6 years at the high school, year-round involvement, raising, $20,000, $30,000 a year for the program because they had expenses and stuff. It consumed a lot of my time, but I told her, look, once she graduates, I'm going to commit to it. So we started hiking here in Southern California. There's some beautiful trails, and we started hiking. And somebody recommended a trail, and the trail's like this. It's about this steep for about 2 miles. And I never realized how short of a distance a quarter mile is until I actually started hiking it, and wouldn't even get to be about a quarter mile before like I felt like I was gonna have a heart attack. Like heart was gonna beat out of my chest. I had to stop, and then kind of work my way up to getting to a half mile. And even then that would take 30 minutes or more just to get there. But it was something. Then I started with P90X around that same time. So within that month, I started P90X. I saw the commercials. I can do, let me try this, right? The results are great, right? And, for those who, I don't know if you've done P90X, for anybody who hasn't, they're about 50 minutes or so, close to an hour, most of the workouts. And so I got some resistance bands and the working out stuff, right? The shoulders and stuff, not so bad for a guy who's 350 pounds, but somebody who, but like the plyometrics and like starting to like jump around and move around, that's a problem. That was a problem for me in the beginning. I had to modify those 15-minute workouts. Turned out to be about an hour and a half because I would pause it and sit down and be like, Tony, you're killing me, and I wait till I got like my heart rate kind of got back, and then I would press play and do some more and then stop and rest again. And I got through the 90 days with some serious modification. And I lost about 27 pounds that first round. I mean, because I went from 0 to something. And then, so I started seeing the result, like, hey, I lost some weight, I could tell just by the clothes that I wore. I even had to use I'm a member of 24-Hour Fitness just because my wife's grandfathered into it. It's like $8 a month. There's no way I was going to give it up, even at 350 pounds, because one day I was going to go back to the gym, right? But I had to go weigh myself there because there's very, at the time, I wasn't aware of any scale that could weigh a 350-pound person, right? So it's either like doctor scales or the gym. Like you don't go to Target or Walmart and get a scale that's gonna hold 350 pounds. I figured I need to do something else because I can't keep doing P90X, at least not right now. So P90X3 was my go-to money one, and for one reason only in the beginning, because it was 30 minutes. I was like, I could do 30 minutes. So I did that, kept losing weight, and I ended up doing 4 rounds of P90X P90X3 in that first year, and lost 100 pounds. Now, I didn't lose 100 pounds by just doing P90X3, right? So in that same year, in that same 100 pounds, the biggest change I had to do was 2 big changes. One was up here, and the other one was with my nutrition, right? So I'm not going to call it a diet. I won't call it a diet, because diet to me implies there's going to be an end to it, people say, I'm on a diet. I'm on a diet for the next 30 days or whatever. It's like, okay, so what are you going to do after that? Like, you're going to go back to like what you were doing? So I had to ditch the word diet, and my whole approach to how I approach food, I had to change. And so I started to count calories at first, and I didn't change much at first because I wanted to see how many calories I was taking in. Like I knew I was a lot, I just didn't really kind of know. It was like well over 4,000 calories a day, and zero working out, right? I mean, so that explains why I was 350 pounds, right? So I started making adjustments. I said, let me cut it by 1,000 calories, right? Let me just cut it by 25% and see what happens. And between that and the working out, the weight started falling off, and I wasn't hungry. Like, I wasn't starving myself, because the other part of that was up here saying, this food here is enough. I cut out all the junk, like fried chicken and French fries and fried foods and stuff. My big three things that were my kryptonite was bread, in this order, was bread, potatoes, and rice. So, quick story on French bread. There's a supermarket that's out here, and most supermarkets probably do this, but they have like fresh baked loaves of French bread like at 4 or 5 o'clock, right? So you can pick it up on your way home, right? It's freshly made. I would pick up 2. And before I got home, I would have already eaten 1. And then the other one I had left was for us, right? For my wife and my daughters. But that's how much I love bread. Cheesecake Factory. Hello. You want bread, sir? Yes, please. And then, can you give me some more bread and keep it coming? I mean, that was me. And so I cut out bread and potatoes, baked potatoes, loaded baked potatoes, mashed potatoes, right? And then rice to a degree as well. But those are my really big 3. And those are pretty big, starchy, high carb type stuff. In moderation, they're okay. But that wasn't in my vocabulary at 350 pounds. So I changed my whole outlook there. And then, counting calories. I don't know how many of you have try to count calories. Like, I'm not going to weigh my food and all that, right? And even counting the calories, like MyFitnessPal, it becomes a chore. So I got the Beachbody, those the fixed portion containers, or the control, right? The portion control containers. I don't know if you guys have seen those, but it takes like the guesswork out of your eating, right? They're at a macro level. Hey, this many reds is protein, right? This many, yellows is carbs, and it takes the guesswork out of it. And so as long as you stick to that plan, you get your macros and you get what you need, right? Because you do need carbs, right? Working out with any of the Beachbody programs and any kind of working out that you do, maybe hiking or running or whatever you guys might do, you still need to replenish, your proteins and carbs, and your body needs that to build muscles, right? Shakeology is an important part for me too as well, because of the protein, the nutrients that it gives to help when you do go to sleep and you do rest. Your body needs that to pull from in order to build your muscle. So in my first year, right, I lost 100 pounds. I'm down to 250 pounds now. I've got all this energy. I started doing other stuff, right? I started walking, which means I would just jog until I got tired, and I would walk, and then I would jog, and then I would walk. That would eventually progress to jogging without stopping, to now, I don't think I am, but I'm a runner now, right? I mean, I do 10Ks, I do half marathons, I run trails. I run upwards of 25 to 35 miles a week, so I guess I am a runner. A lot of that's trails, heavy weekends sometimes, and so I don't like running. People say, you must love the run. It's like, no, but there are qualities about running that I like. I like being out by myself, listening to my Pandora, having my headset in, being by myself, just thinking about different things of life and whatnot. So I like the alone time, the me time for running, but running's not fun. But losing the weight has helped me be able to, to do that. Then I progressed to, T25, right? Sean T's T25, because it was 25 minutes. And then started doing hybrids of the P90X3, the T25. And then I eventually would progress to, now I have P90X2, P90, the P90, I have all the P90Xs, the 22-minute hardcore, the Insanity Max 30, the T25, right? I'm a big Sean T, Tony Horton person. I know that's not for everybody, right? And you know, what got me too is I would look at the how much I spent in the disc, right? Like in the programs. And for as much as I spent, I could probably have like 10 years of like the on-demand streaming, right? You know, it's like, well, it's like, and it's not to deter from buying the disc, but there are some programs I want to try, like Quarter Force and Body Beast and some other ones that I probably wouldn't go buy, but I could stream now, right? Quarter Force is my next one after I finish my current round of Insanity Max 30 and P90 X3 hybrid. I'm going to go to the Quarter Force because it looks like some pretty cool workouts. Because like the P90Xs, for those of you who have done it, have like P90X had Kimpo, the P90 X3 had like MMX one, right? So there's some like, there's that kind of like same kind of like feel to it that the Quarter Force it has. I want to try that. So that's what's the great thing about the on-demand, right? So it's definitely worth it. Even one video series, the one P90X gets you 1 year. Anyway, so that I'm a big fan of the on-demand, but the you know, the struggles I had right along losing that journey was the weight loss journey was, you know, there were days that I want to work out, you know, especially when I started doing the 2 workouts, right? So I started doing like the P90 X3 and then the T25 and stuff, and it's like I'd have to fit it into my schedule. And what I learned was I had to schedule my workouts, right? Like if you just say, oh, I'll work out when I have time, or, you know, I learned I had to make it a priority for me. There's a lot of things that make priority, right? I schedule doctor's appointments, I schedule meetings, I schedule other stuff. And so to me, why would not scheduling my workouts and my personal health time, why would it be important enough to put it on my phone and schedule it, right? And to make that block out that time that no one else, that's not going to be taken by something else. Because usually that'll be the first thing that goes if it's not scheduled. You know, somebody else will take that time. So I schedule my workouts, and so I, you know, even today, I still, you know, I got my workouts in before these meetings started, you know, but I got it done. But I don't use a CPAP device anymore, right? For my sleep apnea, I don't have sleep apnea. I was that guy that would circle the mall when I did want to go out, right? Especially in the summer, at being 350 pounds, you don't want to go out in the heat, right? I would ice my wife out by putting my AC down to like 70 in the house. So she's freezing and I'm just like kind of okay, you know, and our electric bill was like $600-700 a month trying to keep the house at 70 degrees. You know, now we have it at 79. I don't get hot. In fact, I actually got to put clothes on. Like I wear like thermals now. Like during the cold here in Southern California, our winters aren't cold, right? Like at night it might drop like in the 50s, right? Some of you wherever you live, you might be like, that's nothing. That's like summer. But for me now, it's cold. Where I actually have to wear long sleeve, you know, pajamas, long sleeve, you know, thermal pants. Whereas before I would sleep in shorts and a shirt and still have a fan going on, you know. But I was that guy who would circle the mall, looking for as close as a spot as I could to the door, instead of just parking a few spots over and walking. I spent 30 minutes trying to find a closer spot. But now it's like I'll park far away. I get my steps in. I got my little Fitbit, you know. I'm between 20 to 30,000 steps a day, you know, you know, full of energy. And, you know, people would tell me, you know, I know for those of you who didn't join earlier before we started the official session, so my total weight loss was 180 pounds in 20 months. And so, you know, someone told me this and I lost the weight, and I say it just because I still can't believe it when I say it, is that I lost more weight than I currently weigh. And I don't know anybody else that can say that. Like I haven't heard that. And so I say that to share it with you for those of you who don't need to lose 180 pounds, right? But maybe need to lose 10 or 20, you know, that is very possible. It's doable. And the other thing, I didn't submit my Beachbody story until a year after I lost the weight. And again, it was one of those things where I'm not a flashy person. I'm not, I just never thought about doing that. Even with using the products and everything, it was like, that's just not me. And people were encouraging me, like, you have to tell your story. You know, even if not to win anything, just if somebody saw your story and got encouraged, inspired to start their own journey or to continue it. Because I know people at times think about quitting because it's not working, or it's maybe it's perceived to be not working. Because if you're like me at any time during my heaviest, I would self-sabotage myself, right? I would, you know, try these diets, and then my eating would sabotage it, and I would say, well, it's not working, and it's no, I'm not working it, you know. And even when what kept me motivated was my why, right? Was my daughters, my family, my wife, and be around for them. But I saw the results, and I didn't want to sabotage that by saying, because I was that person too, and I hear it still with other people, is I've been working out hard, so I'm gonna treat myself, or I've been working out hard, so I deserve a cheat meal, or I deserve a cheat day, which sometimes turns into a weekend, and then before you know it, you're off the wagon. I never said that to myself. My wife told me something in the middle of my journey, because I was the guy who would eat dinner and then like 30 minutes later be watching TV and want to power through a bag of Doritos. And I wasn't hungry because I just ate. You know, I was bored eating. You know, not that I was bored eating, but I was bored, so I was doing something. I just wanted to eat because I was bored. I needed to do some action to put something in my mouth. It wasn't because I was hungry. And my wife told me something that I still tell people today is, you know, you don't need to eat that because you already know what it tastes like. And so it's going to taste the same as you did when you had the last time. And so when I was in the tougher part, in that first 100 pounds, when I was still kind of getting used to it from a mindset of like, you know, changing that, I would want to do that so bad. And I had to remind myself, I already know what it tastes like. And I don't know if you guys have seen my before picture. And if you haven't, when you see it, you'll know that I put that picture up at work. I put it in this office that I'm here, right here on my monitor, right here. I put it everywhere that I would spend a lot of time at. So I could look at that and say, I'm not going to be that guy again. I'm not going to go back to that. And so submitting my story a year after I lost the weight, you know, and then now here I am over 2 years later, since I lost the weight. And to really not to show it to myself, because I know today, I know where I'm at today, and you know what my routine is today, that I'm never going back to that. But to really to show other people that, hey, it took me 20 months to lose it, and it's been over 2 years since I've kept it off, as its own story. Like, I'm not sure, to me, what's more inspiring for somebody is losing 180 pounds or that I've kept it off for 2 years, because it's each its own story. And so the two of them together, I hope that, you know, you would take some of that away for each of you and be able to use some of that to say, you know, wow, if he can lose 180 pounds, or if he can keep that weight off by doing the Beachbody programs, by the Shakeology, by not self-sabotaging, then I've done what I set out to do, right? It's just to hopefully inspire somebody to either start or continue their own fitness journey, to take charge of your own health. No one else is going to take charge. No one else is supposed to take charge of your own health except you. And to hopefully encourage you to, you know, to do that. There's, you know, when I first lost the weight, there's a whole group of people that knew me in high school where I looked like this, except less gray. But they knew me as this. They've known me for over 30 years. So they saw me, you know, gain the weight. They knew me at my heaviest, and they still are friends with me today. And so they're not surprised. But there's a whole group of friends and people that I know through the girls' softball and soccer and everything else, right, when they were younger. And there's a whole group of people who only knew me as that obese person. And so for me to look like this now, to them, is a shock. because they didn't know me like this before. And I can't tell you in that first year after I lost the weight, how many people locally here hit me up on social media or called me because they had my number and just hadn't seen me for a bit and wanted to meet and know, how'd you do it? And I would tell them the same story I just told you. And I could see it in their face. Like some of them weren't ready to hear it. Like they wanted a magic pill, or they wanted me to say, just do this. That's it, you know? But I had to tell them it, you know, it was hard work. It wasn't easy. Like for the hours, like I posted some stuff on social media, you know, during it, but it was more like, and I'm sure you guys can resonate with this, there's so many hours people don't see, you know, even the workout. You could post, hey, I just worked out and this and that, but it's that other time that people don't see you when it's hard work, when you want to pick up and have a donut, when you want to drink soda, when you want to eat the Doritos, when you want to, you know, self-sabotage without meaning to do it, but you just can't help yourself. Those are tough hours that people don't see, right? With it's a 24-hour deal. Like besides the time you're sleeping, okay, so you maybe take out 8 hours, 16 hours a day, it's tough, right? It's not just the working out. That's 20% of it. You're gonna lose or win in the kitchen, and because you can only work out so much, right? If you eat like crap, there's not enough hours in a day that you could try to like make up for that. The average person can't. And for you ladies, God bless you, because I know a lot of you guys are mothers and you guys have jobs and you work, or you're taking care of your smaller kids full time. And so to grab that time to work out is tough, to find the you time. And the other piece of that I know is hard for some of you is you might be in a split household. And what I mean by that is you're on a nutrition thing. You're trying to change for the better. You're working out. And maybe your significant other or your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend or your kids aren't on the same page as you. And so you're almost like cooking two meals. You're like cooking your meals and then you're cooking everybody else's because they're not doing what you're doing, right? And so, you know, you might have junk in the house because your spouse or significant other is bringing home chips and soda and junk food and stuff like that. And that's tough. And it makes your job harder to stay the course. But I would totally, you know, it's totally worth it. You know, if nothing else, that my why was so much bigger than self-gratification right now for me to eat this or eat that or to self-sabotage myself. That was my biggest thing that kept me going. There was nothing more important to me at that moment than that picture, that, you know, my before picture, and me wanting to be around for my daughters and not being selfish, and still being obese and not wanting to lose the weight and maybe have them lose their dad, you know, in their early 20s. And the other piece of that for me to share my story with you guys is I'm a very Christian person. And over the past year, my church poured into 12 of us to be better leaders in our church. And they poured their time into us every month, and just the books I had to read. And a lot of the books were like Andy Stanley and some other folks. The one thing I learned, and then my Beachbody coach, I'll tell you about that in a second, my coach, the current coach I have, encouraging me to share my story and encouraging me to get the word out there. That my coach encouraging me and my church leadership pouring themselves into me to be a better leader at my church kind of came together just in the last few months. And what I realized was, both for my church and for this, my story would be, is how selfish of me would it be if I didn't spend my time from a Beachbody perspective to share my story. Like I have it down. Like I have the formula down. Like I figured it out. I did the workouts. I did all of that. But how selfish of me would it be to say, I did it. See you guys later. Good luck with that. Right? That'd be very selfish of me to at least not share my story. And you know, that's one thing that I took away. So I can share my story. You can see the pictures, but, you know, hopefully after, you know, hearing my story and knowing that it's not easy, and some days is just damn hard. And my workouts, I gave 100% on all my workouts, but my 100% varied from day to day because of life. Like, but I gave it 100%. But my 100% today may not be as good. Maybe it's better than my 100% tomorrow. Or maybe it's less than 100% from yesterday, but it was always 100% for that day, because life happens and stuff happens and you're tired. You didn't get enough sleep. Work 10, 12 hours that day. Kids recitals, practices, and shuttling back and forth. Whatever it is, life happens. But I never skipped the workout. And then a couple things. Last thing I would say is that I drink water a day. I drink 100 ounces a day, and I don't know if you guys even know that water, how important water is. But I was 350 pounds. I'm like, I'm not going to drink water. Why would I drink so much water? Like, I'm trying to lose weight. Like, I'm going to have all this water weight. I'm going to retain water. No, you're not. If you're not drinking at least 64 ounces, I would try to get to that point. But I drink 100. I'm constantly going to the bathroom. But it does work. You do actually expend calories, expending it. You burn calories expending that water out of your system. Trust me, it's a thing. The other thing, don't self-sabotage, right? You know what it tastes like. And I also had realistic expectations coming in. So at 350 pounds, I didn't lose 350 pounds in 6 months or a year. I didn't gain it, rather, in 6 months or a year, right? Or even 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. I didn't gain it. It was over a period of time. So when I came in and made that decision, I had realistic expectations. I actually thought it was going to take me 4 or 5 years to maybe get out of the 200 club, to maybe get down to 199. Like, that was my original goal. Well, first it was to get out of 300, but my ultimate goal really in my head was, let me get to 199 so I can say, so I don't have to say I'm two something. But the one thing that shocked me along this whole journey was the 20 months. Like, I never thought I'd be able to do it in 20 months. I was a person, when I was doing these diets and stuff, right? Like, why diet? Because at 350 pounds, to lose 10 pounds, to try to lose 10 pounds, is like taking a cup of water out of the Pacific Ocean. You're not going to notice it. So that was like, why would I even want to diet? Like, it's so hard to lose 10. How am I even going to lose 100? Like, that also kept me from doing it. But it just started with the program and a mindset. And then my nutrition came because I didn't want to lose the gains of, like, having to go get my bigger clothes I bagged up and put in the garage. And now I had to go put the older clothes back on because my other stuff was hanging on me. And I started going backwards. And at some point, I got to a point where I didn't have those clothes anymore. I actually had to go buy newer clothes. And that was okay because I was going the other way. But I got to such a big size. You know, there's small, medium, large, and then there's like extra large, and then there's double X and triple X. After that, it starts with numbers. I don't know if you were aware of that, but it goes like then numbers, 1X, 2X, 3X. I was a 4X large for my shirt size. That's huge. And, you know, I had to go to a special store to buy it, right? The men's big and tall. I couldn't just walk into Macy's or some other store and pick it off the rack. They didn't carry those sizes. Now I can order a shirt online, just large. I know it's going to fit. I don't need to even see it, you know? So it's those kind of things that I smile about and are able to know, like, this is how it should be, right? And the hard work I put in, it paid off. So I'll stop there if you guys have any questions or anything.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I was writing down all these things and trying to hold back tears. So many things you said were amazing and the reason why I do what I do. So I hope you guys took all those gems from it and know what we do. Like, we get so caught up in Success Club and ranking and elite and all that shit. But this, like, Daniel is the reason why I'm a coach. And I think that speaks for most of you as well. So, woo!
Let me say one thing about coaches. The coach I had originally when I was, you know, when I was doing my fitness journey, the only time I heard from them, and it was very rare, it was a few times in a year, is when they would email me wanting me to buy stuff. That was it. There was no challenge groups. There was no special Facebook groups. There was no encouragement. It was, hey, buy the Shakeology. Hey, do this. And so I had a horrible experience. I did it in spite of my Beachbody coach. But the Beachbody coach I have now, I wish I had him then. And, you know, he's so encouraging and so motivating. And he's really one of the reasons why I'm sharing my story is because of that encouragement. Because I'm like, yeah, like my story's okay, you know. He's like, no, you got to tell your story. So I can't tell you as a Beachbody coach, you know, it's, you know, and he got me to be a Beachbody. I'm a new Beachbody coach, like in the last 2 months. And again, I fought it because I'm not a salesperson. Like, I'm not going to slang Shakeology. I'm not that guy. He's like, you're not doing that. You sharing your story. And people who want to hear it, or even when they listen to it, until they actually want to hear it, it doesn't matter what you do, right? It goes back to taking control of your own fitness journey. I could tell my story and people could hear it and be like, that's great, but they're not ready to really hear it and take action on it. But I got to keep telling my story because that one person could be waiting just to hear that story to start. And so that's how I'm taking my approach as a new Beachbody coach is I'm not in it for the money. I have a very good job. I have a very good day job. But I want to share my story with people because of what I told you about, you know, my church pouring into me and just wanting even one person hearing my story and starting their own fitness journey or not quitting the one that they're on.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Who's your coach now?
His name is Eddie Fritz.
Okay. I know Eddie.
Yep. My coach.
Awesome. Well, I'm cheering for both of you guys.
And I wish I knew him years ago.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing is I get so many people, I've had people that have had, you know, bad experiences, which always breaks my heart, but forever ago.
Yeah, there are coaches out there that don't care. And they're in it for like, yeah, come to me. And when you order something, I'm going to get credit for it. I mean, there are coaches like that, and they probably shouldn't be doing it.
I'm so glad you're a coach because if you weren't, you'd be robbing people. They need you. So just like you needed Eddie. So I'm really happy to hear that you're a coach. And thanks for sharing that part too, because I think that's important for people to hear. So does anybody have any questions before we wrap up and let him go since he has calls all night? Okay. Thank you so much, Daniel. We're going to be cheering you on at Summit. I can't wait. I'm going to sit there and cry like a baby and see you and Eddie on stage. And I'll definitely post your story and share and get you. And I'm voting every day.
Yeah. You know, if you guys are inspired, get your teams too. If you want to vote for me again. For those of you who joined late, we were talking about it kind of informally. Whoever's going to win is going to win. I honestly believe whoever's meant to win is meant to win. Whether it's me or somebody else, if it's not me, that's okay. You know, so vote for me, don't vote for.
Oh, that's what I was going to add really fast though. Will you tell, because I don't think people know, will you kind of tell the process? Because you started as a $500 challenge winner, right?
I was a monthly winner. So I submitted my story. I actually won the month of April 2016. So I had submitted my story, again, a year after I had lost the weight, and I won April 2016. I didn't understand kind of when Beachbody starts their thing. That was the first month of the year. So I had to wait a whole entire year for them to reach back out to me. Well, I actually had the quarterly. I didn't win the quarterly, but to reach back out to me to say, hey, it's time for the grand prize. Resubmit some current pictures, right? You know, I had to hold a newspaper or a paper with a special word on it. They wanted to know I still look like this, right? And not just me, but all the finalists, right? To make sure I didn't blow back up or maybe I look better, right? So, or whoever was, you know, look better. So they, you know, so I won April. I won $1,000 for April. But I submitted my story. And so I came out of the 40 to 49 age group. So I'm representing one of the old man groups, right? There's a winner from the one person came out of the 19 to 29-year-old. There's a 30 to 39 representative. I'm the 40 to 49 rep, and there's a 50-plus rep. And so one of the four of us is going to end up winning the big prize. So I'm already guaranteed $25,000
Yeah.
just by being a. So all of us are guaranteed at least that. But of course, hey, 100 grand is better than 25, right? So, but again, I'm just sharing my story. If you guys feel compelled to vote, it's actually, how it works is it started on Monday this week. It goes for the entire week. And you vote once every day. So you can vote for one. There's all these different swim lanes. There's 4 different swim lanes. One woman, one man for the grand prize, which was what I'm in. And then there's 2 swim lanes for one woman, one man for the ultimate health transformation. And that's a $25,000 winner. So you can vote for 4 people. So, one in each of the swim lanes. So, but if you feel compelled, get your teams to whatever, do or don't, but
we're over here voting.
I know, but it's no pressure, right? I mean, it is sometimes people, busy life to remember to vote for some guy they don't know, tomorrow, the next day. But, again, if you vote, I appreciate it. If you don't, God bless you anyways, and hopefully
sharing your story.
To see you guys in New Orleans, in the summit in July. And if you have any other teams you want me to talk to, even after the voting, it's fine. I've got stuff scheduled out from my post on the Beachbody Champion page. I got stuff out for the next 2-3 weeks. So just because of how teams do their meetings, and they already have people lined up perhaps or something like that. But if you guys want me to do another meeting for other teams, or do you have teams you want to join up with again, and to have it be talked to other folks, I'm fine with that. So again, whatever I need to do to keep encouraging people.
Awesome. We really appreciate you a lot. So thank you so much. And thanks guys for being on, and thanks to everybody that's watching the recording, because I'm going to post this on the team page in just a little bit, and I'll post it in Team Believe to share with them as well. So
Great.
Thank you. Have a great night. I'll share your story.
Have a good one. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.